Hi, welcome to this week's edition of my webcast. I'm actually aptly naming this one New Year's New Fears, saying that every year people come into the year with New Year's revelations like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, quit smoking, quit drinking. The problem is most people that try to do this try to do it on their own. Isaiah 53:5 states that by his wounds we are healed. I believe that the American church has fallen into a trap with the spirit of fear. As a disclaimer, I'm not saying go jump off a mountain and see if you can survive. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we as an American church seem to be afraid of failure. What if we don't achieve this? What if we don't get this done? What if I don't achieve getting out of this event in my life that's holding me back, or this area that's holding me back? Like I said, smoking, drinking, etc. What if I don't get that person that I'm presenting the gospel to accept it? I believe fear could be one of the biggest things that are holding us back from fulfilling the calling that God has for our lives, if we let it. And like I was saying with presenting the gospel, I tried presenting the gospel once and the person didn't accept it, so I'm not going to talk to anybody else because I'm fearing other people won't accept it either. So I'm going to quit. And I think that sometimes that fear of failure, a fear of them not accepting the gospel, sometimes can be hard. But we got to be overcome and say, guess what? There's more people for God to let us present this gospel to. The first thing I see is that we as Christians must do is combat fear with the only true fear there is, which is the fear of the Lord. In Proverbs 1:7, the word says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and knowledge." First, it states that the beginning of knowledge is fearing the Lord. It also states that we will get knowledge and wisdom by fearing the Lord. This meaning that the best way to combat our fear of failure is to fear the Lord and be faithful in reading His Word, spending time with Him, and studying and really getting deep into the Word and figuring out what He meant in this situation, how He was presenting this to us, getting really deep and intimate with Him in His Word. As we look deep into Isaiah 53, that verse that I already stated, it states that He was pierced for our transgressions, the sins that we committed, the things that happened in our past, the things that some Christians sometimes let hold over their back in their decisions now. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that was on Him brought us peace, and by His wounds we were healed. So He was pierced for the things we've done in our past, which means we don't have to carry them anymore. Too many times Christians carry the things from the past instead of saying, God, I give them to you. A good example was saw somebody once hold a bucket for like 5 minutes. They just hold it up, held it up, held it up. And after a while, after 3-4 minutes, that gets tight on your arm and the weight gets heavy. Just like the weight of us letting past sins or past events or past this hold us back from where we're called to be and where we're called to go. And again, that after a while, that weight just gets overbearingly heavy, where if we don't give it to God, the problems just keep on piling up and piling up, and getting heavier, like I said. So, being that our past events we got to overcome, and biblically it shows that. The next thing we have to do, he said he was crushed for our iniquities. which the Webster's dictionary states is something that is unfair. This meaning he was crushed for the things in which we see as unfair in life. The events were like, oh, that wasn't fair, that shouldn't have happened. But he died on the cross for him. Any sorrows, any times in our life in the past, anything, events, anything that we just see as that shouldn't have happened, he was crushed. He died on the cross for that, for us. I believe that the healing from this can be physical, mental, or spiritual. I look in as Michael Jordan, one of the most popular players in the NBA for years, and probably one of the best ever, is one of a good example of this secular reference of how being an overcomer is how you should do stuff. In 10th grade, he was actually cut from his high school basketball team. And he ended up going to be one of the best players in NBA history. Getting 6 championships, doing all that. But he couldn't even make his 10th grade team. But instead of quitting at that point saying, oh, I'm not good enough to make the 10th grade team, this and that, he worked harder. He pressed in harder. He went after what he was trying to do harder. And through that choice of just going after what he was trying to achieve, he became one of the best players ever play the game. And rolling that back over to the Christian, or to the Christian's perspective, we as Christians should be doing the same thing in our walk, trying to be the best Christian that we can be, the hungriest Christian we can be, the closest to Jesus we can be. Another example I can use biblically to show this is in Peter when he denied Jesus 3 times, and then the rooster crowed. He had the option right there of accepting that he failed as Lord, or the option of overcoming that fear of failure and pressing on. By the rest of the ministry, we can see the choice he made. He went after God. He did anything that he could do to present the gospel after that point. He didn't give up. He didn't make excuses. And another example we can see is in Revelation. After each of the 7 churches, it states to be an overcomer. We as Christians are to be overcomers. He said that to every one of the churches. That's a mentality we should go into any battle that we have, or any wall that comes in front of us, is that we're an overcomer in Christ. It also says in Revelations that we are overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So basically, by Christ dying on the cross and what God's done in our lives and is going to do, we're an overcomer. This saying, if we want to overcome something, we got to give it fully to the Lord. Not just the parts we want to give to Him, all of it. Too many times we want to give up on something, but we're only going to give this much to God. We're not going to give the whole thing. We can give you this much, but I need this now, or I need that. No, we have to fully give it to Him and say, God, I trust you. Too many Christians hold the chains of their past and keep on picking them up, instead of just like having or dropping the chains and saying, I don't want these no more. They go back and keep on carrying them heavy chains and carrying the weights of the things they shouldn't need to. God has built the immune ability in us to overcome, so we're given 2 options: either go after this gift to overcome, or we can run from it and go back to the same rut we were in before, the same things that we did in the past that got us into the place we're at with this thing. For example, smoking. Oh, we're gonna quit, but I'm gonna go back right to that hole and oh, just one more cigarette. Oh, I'm stressed out. I need to have a cigarette, and keeping the mentality of it instead of saying, guess what? I overcome that. That's a past. That's not holding me down anymore. And just like I said, the fear of failure in many facets of our life can be solved by just giving it to Jesus. So I just hope you have a blessed week. I thank you for watching this again. And God bless you.